Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. You are my fire, the one desire. When I say that it's fucking Thursday, tell me why. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you just gotta bring it in acapella forum. Acapella forum. Just to remind them that you keep them things on deck. That at the end of the day, your boy is songbird of a generation. Okay? Just never forget that. All right? And I'll be honest with you, my voice is not warmed up right now. I ain't got them pipes on deck right now. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. We're getting there. We're getting there. Ladies and gentlemen, enough bullshitting around. If you haven't been here before, welcome. Welcome to 7 Minutes in Evan. I am your host, Evan Lopez. Have you heard of him? Probably not, ladies and gentlemen. Probably not. It's always weird to me when people tell you that. Listen, there's some people who are delusional in life and just expect you to know who they are. You know what I found very interesting is that when people expect you to know who they are the most delusional people that you shouldn't know who they are. And usually the people who introduce themselves and don't expect you to know who they are the people that you should know who you are. What is this, a cat in a hat riddle? I'm just talking about delusion, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome to Thursday. I hope you guys are doing good, living, staying after it. Listen. The end of the year always inspires people, okay? You're like, Evan, are you malfunctioning talking about the end of the year? It's your epiphania. The end of the year inspires people. What I'm getting at is that in the beginning of the year, everybody has these goals, these dreams, these things they're chasing. They're back at it. When you start getting close to the end of January, I think a lot of people, they shift back out of it. They fall back in that loop, that pattern, and they go back to the same old life. It happens. It happens to all of us. We all have those moments and those slip-ups. So this is your wake up, ladies and gentlemen. This is the call to action to just keep it moving, pimping. Get back into a system. Get back into structuring priorities around what you want to do. Because your boy's been guilty of it too. I'm going to open up with you guys here. Did I bomb again last night? Yeah. Who's asking? And I'll have people DM me like, did you really bomb? Like, are you really bombing on stage? And why is this happening? It's no one's fault but your boys. Okay. Because I classify a bomb as multiple things. There is nothing like bombing in the beginning of comedy. When you don't know any tricks to get out of it, you don't know what's happening, you don't know how to fix it, and you don't accept it as this is part of it. Because after a while, you're like, there's sometimes it's hard to avoid bombing, especially, I think bombing is always the worst in the beginning. Because if you're trying new jokes, you're trying new things, you're trying to get better at crowd work, you're trying to do all this different stuff, and not every fucking set's gonna be a hit. Jokes aren't gonna do good because you gotta find the line, because hilarious jokes teeter on that line. And sometimes if you're too safe, you're too fucking bland, there's like, yeah, who gives a shit about this? But you can go too far with jokes and you cannot go far enough. And sometimes you bomb. And listen, last night I bombed again. All right. And listen, I classify a bomb because I felt unprepared. I did. And I'm just being real with you. I'm peeling back the layers of the onion. Okay. For a while, my structure has been when I'm in my tippity top shape, I'm doing at least an hour of writing and performing a day, where I'm spending at least 30 minutes straight writing and 30 minutes kind of riffing with the material and going over it, rehearsing it, trying to get the muscle memory, figure out the delivery. Usually an hour a day at least, I prioritize that. But listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I have been, and this is a cautionary tale, and something that I know I've been driving on thin ice, is when you get too busy with life and the things that you're really focused on start slipping back. And you're just like, well, I have to prioritize this right now. And sometimes it's realistic. And I think from like November on, I've been slipping a little bit where, now that I'm in the house and everything's good, I'll tell you guys this tale is that I've been trying to get a home loan as a self-employed person. When we were moving to Texas, you go through this mortgage process, if you haven't done it, where you get pre-approved. And what that means is they just look at some stuff briefly. With me, I used my bank statements and they go, okay, cool. Yeah, this should work. So then you get pre-approved. And then, you start to search for houses. We got in a situation where we're doing a new build. And so then what happens is the lender reaches out and they go, hey, in, 3 or 4 months till closing, I think it was like 3 months, we'll reach back out and we'll start doing the full approval process, like go through your, underwriting and all of that. Where they go through, it's one of the most stressful things. It's just ridiculous because I say it's stressful because we put ourselves in the situation where we bought a house before the market had completely skyrocketed up. And we got locked in this contract. And with all the time passing, house prices went up quite a bit. So we were in a situation where if for some reason we lost this house, we would be completely priced out where we couldn't afford another house, where the market had risen that much in Texas, in the area I was in, where I would have been fucked. I would have been just renting and been like, well, that was all pointless. I sat on the sidelines in this contract thinking this was going to be my house. I was in that contract for like 10 months. And about 3 months before the house is supposed to close, meaning that you're going to move into it, you start the process with the lender again, where now they need updated bank statements. And now it's going through another party. The actual bank is vetting all your documents. And I'm saying all this to you because once I hit like October and November, there was so much going on with having to get everything validated. And when you're self-employed, and it's all woe is me because I picked this fucking life and I love it and I want to change it for the world. But when you're self-employed in the middle of a pandemic where everything's unstable and they're not sure if they can bet on you that you're going to be able to pay this loan, they require so fucking much. They want to know every single deposit, withdrawal, every single transaction on your bank statements from 24 months ago. Like, I need to be able to validate every single thing and what can be used as income, what can't, and all this. And there was times where I would get the email, hey, the loan is not going to work. You can't get approved because of this. And then I would have to go create all these documents, get it notarized, get someone who does, taxes to sign off on it, do all this shit, plead my case for the lender, for them to plead it to the bank to the bank who was actually lending it, and be able to validate all these forms of income. Because also, your boy's all over the place. It's not like I just have one thing where I'm just like, yeah, this is it. This is my salary. No, I got money coming in from each way. Stupid. But all this to be said is that there was a lot of stress moments where I kept hearing, oh, you're not going to get the house. And then I'd be like, oh, great. I'm going to fucking, who knows what I'm going to do. We're just going to fucking keep living in this 1-bedroom apartment that's tearing us apart. That's one thing I've realized too, is that when you and your significant other live in just a 1-bedroom apartment with no table, no couch, we were just roughing it because we're like, we're going to move into a house in 8 months. Why are we going to buy furniture and stuff for this place? We're on a 3rd floor. Let's just bare bones it. And we have a dog. So makes things tense. It's stressful already, moving to a new state, and then both of you working from home, you're always around each other, and then you're dealing with all this bank shit and loan shit. And again, I chose this fucking life, not looking for pity. But all this to be said, during those months, writing and performing while I was still doing shows and I was doing sets as much as I could, I wasn't writing as much in my material. I think just by sheer numbers, it's just a numbers game. I started slipping with making sure I was doing an hour of dedicated stand-up work. And I mean an hour outside of going to do shows and going to do sets and everything. Because you have a certain amount of material, you can just rely on that. But then there's like a whole side to it of just like keeping everything lubed up, giggity. And I would say from like October, November, December, and even January with my business, I've been pretty busy. But doing sets and the writing side of it, listen, there's no free rides. And every now and then you're going to have to pay the toll. The stage is going to test you. And that's what I say when I bomb. When I bomb, it's not that the crowd didn't necessarily like me. That happens. And, you know, sometimes jokes don't work. It's all how you react to it. I don't give two shits if a comedian doesn't get laughs from a crowd that isn't really into it. The acoustics are bad, whatever it is. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is, did the comedian handle it? Did they panic? Did they crumble under the pressure of not getting any laughs? Were they able to push through? And because I was doing new material and it's just the repetition wasn't there, I didn't have a good set. And I hate it. I hate it. It was one of those nights where after, instead of listening to music or a podcast on the way home, I have like usually like a close to 30-minute drive back home. I just fucking driving in silence, thinking about jokes, thinking about why that went terrible, thinking about how we fix it. And the big lesson, ladies and gentlemen, is when shit goes bad, that's when the most growth happens. Okay, you get out there and you bomb and you do terrible in whatever you do. You have a terrible game. Shit doesn't go well at work. Shit doesn't go well, you know, in your personal life. You fuck up. You hit rock bottom. Things always, like, you have the opportunity to do better, to change that shit, turn that shit around. And usually my whole blueprint when shit goes bad now is, okay, how do we prevent this shit from not happening again? And second, if we can't prevent it from happening again, how do we handle it again? Because guess what? Situations are going to arise again where I can bomb, where you can be in any situation where things are going to fucking, you know, it's out of your control. It's all about like how you handle it. And I'm not trying to be a fucking guru. You already know how I feel about fucking Gary Vee, Tony Robbins. Gary Vee fucking stealing all these kids' monies with their NFTs, spending their life savings. Anyway, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. That's just what's been going on with me. And the reason I bring that up is because we started this podcast talking about slipping from goals we might have set at the beginning of the year. Your boy used to always think it was silly. New Year's resolutions, new goals. Nah, live your fucking life like it's in seasons. So you just don't burn out of thinking this is just life. It just repeats. Set goals, have seasons, start it again at the beginning of the year, fucking stick through it. Okay? Set up systems in place to make those goals and those habits easier. Remove those distractions, those temptations from your life, child. Listen, if you're someone who you want to do uninterrupted work and you sit down at your desk to do it, but you keep fucking up and looking at your phone and getting distracted, put your phone in a drawer across the room or in a separate room completely. Set a timer and turn the internet off your fucking computer. You'll get that shit done. Start doing that. The feeling that you have after you actually do that, it's going to keep you going, baby. Should keep you going. You got to schedule it, baby. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. All right, let's jump off this shit. Yeah, got a little too motivational on the podcast, but I won't, sorry, because life goes fast, so fast, and we got our goals and we got our dreams. Know what I mean? Things aren't always as they seem. I mean, we killed that song, huh? Killed that shit. I saw this article and I don't know how to handle it. I've seen it 2 days in a row now. Disney is remaking Snow White. Okay. And they're making Snow White be Latina. Okay. We're now going to have a Snow Brown or Snow White. I'm a light-skinned Latino. Okay. We're out here. Why? Because fucking, if you didn't know, now you know. We're just a mix between Native Americans, Europeans, and Spanish people, and whatever else, especially Puerto Ricans. Oh, and Africans. Puerto Ricans are like a combination of European, Spain, even Portuguese. Portuguese? Yeah, I think it's Portuguese. That's how you say it, right? I just got confused because don't Brazilians speak Portuguese? But what do people from Portugal speak? This might be that moment where I look so stupid on camera. So just like any other moment on this podcast. But anyway, Snow White is going to be Latina. Why is Disney doing this? It's got to be the laziest thing ever to make a live action version of a movie. I never saw live action Beauty and the Beast. Why? Know the story. Know the story. I'm all for a good remake, but if you want to tell me Beauty and the Beast again, and you're not just trying to capitalize on nostalgia, make a Beauty and the Beast that's like the Grimm's fairy tale. Am I saying that right? Like the Grimm's or whatever it is, where they tell darker fairy tales. I want to see Beauty and the Beast, but like the Game of Thrones version. And I don't mean I just want to see naked Beast. Okay. Always weirded me out. But I want to see a different version, not just the live action. And like they make it like it's this proud thing that it's Latina Snow White. You know? First of all, y'all gonna have some problems with that. You're gonna have a jealous Snow White. Okay? There's gonna be an angry Snow White. I'm gonna tell you that much. It's gonna be a fist fighting Snow White, throwing chanclas around. Okay? You're gonna have a fucking Snow White going through your phone. I'll tell you that much. You're gonna have Snow White be like when you're out and there's another girl around. They're gonna be like, careful. Cuidado con tus ojos. Okay? Watch out with your eyes. Okay? Vaya con Dios. Okay? Go with God. Okay, night, bye. Enjoy your life. That's what fucking Snow White is gonna be. You think I need some fucking prince? No. Okay, bye. But here was the real controversy with this. Peter Dinklage. Shout out to Peter Dinklage. Phenomenal actor. I really do think Peter Dinklage is a phenomenal actor. In Game of Thrones, his character... let me pull this article up so I can tell you what he said. His character in Game of Thrones is some of the best acting ever. The range, the expressions that he makes, the story he can tell with his face and his posture is phenomenal. So Peter Dinklage is calling out Disney over making the Snow White reboot. He said, it's telling, he says, he was taken back by the studio's celebration of casting a Latina lead, even if it revisits. Okay. Even though it has a Latina lead. Sorry, this is the worst transition I've ever done. Even if it revisits a story with problematic representation of dwarves. Take a step back and look at what you're doing. It makes no sense to me. he said about an hour into the 80-minute episode. You're progressive in one way, and you're still making that fucking backward story about 7 dwarves living in a cave together. What the fuck are you doing, man? Dinklage stressed that he meant literally no offense to anyone, saying all the love to respect the actress and all the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But his frustration was palpable. Have I done nothing in it to advance the cause from my soapbox? Well, he has some self-awareness by saying he is on a soapbox. I guess I'm not loud enough. He added that he would enthusiastically support a more sensitive retelling of the 85-year-old film with a cool progressive spin on it. But he wasn't otherwise convinced. To avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we were taking a different approach with these 7 characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. It's a weird thing. I think that some of Disney's new movies that they've been doing, what is the one? The little boy with the guitar, Miguel. I don't know if that's the name of it. Anyway, but there's a boy named Miguel, I think, and he anyway, it's a great movie. What I'm saying is that Disney stories are getting more progressive in the right way. That, there's this old stereotype of a princess looking for her Prince Charming and blah, 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 and reinforcing these beauty standards and these ideas that women need men in their life. And with me without trying to virtue signal, I agree with that. I have strong women in my life. I don't like the idea of, women can't, I don't reinforce those ideas of what would be considered toxic male traits. I support strong, independent women. I prefer it. I applaud it, and I actually support progress. What I don't support is virtue signaling and progress for the sake of progress that isn't based in reality. So when it comes to telling more updated stories that don't affect the community, I'm all for it. I think in this situation, even touching, like when Disney or when they come out and they're like, we're going to have a Latina Snow White, bitch, the name's even Snow White. Wasn't that like the thing? Was that she was Snow White? Ridiculous. We gotta change that shit to Pinto Brown or some shit, Why don't we tell a whole new story? This is where I actually agree with Mr. Dinklage, is why are we telling this old story? Why don't we create more stories that are similar? Why don't we actually celebrate these cultures? If you really want to tell these stories, do the homework and don't whitewash this story of being this Latina is just going to tell this story. And I'm sure they're going to update it because they've got so much backlash. But I think it can actually be a cool move. I don't think we necessarily have to completely get rid of these stories, but I think telling them in an updated way, if you wanted to completely take it from the angle of, a Latin culture or something, fucking bring me in. I'll be your consultant. I'll make that shit realistic about how all the 7 dwarves I just fucking can't. It's so stressful. She gets so angry. She's always suspicious, But I agree with Peter Dinklage. At first, I'm always taken back whenever actors want to, in the name of progress, get on a soapbox. I'm always like, this is weird. But I think he is part of a community that actually has dealt with so much fucking, I don't know what the right word is, but dealt with so much shit, so much adversity, and being treated a certain way. That might be a community that kind of slips through the cracks. Like he says, I haven't been loud enough on my soapbox. But, I think it's a real thing and a real situation. I remember him accepting an award and talking about how one of his friends was, beat up just for being a dwarf and thrown out of a van and all of this while he was accepting an award. And it's commendable. to have real causes and want to really fight for injustices. What pisses me off is when people just want to change the M&Ms for no reason. And they're like, look at this, how inclusive we're being. I'm like, you're not really doing anything. You're not really representing anything. Matter of fact, you guys are pushing diabetes with these little sugar chocolates. Or when you have these companies that are using sweatshops all over the world and not taking care of minorities at all, but they're writing Black Lives Matter campaigns on everything. Like, it's not real progress. You guys aren't doing anything real. It's just all on the surface. You're literally just adding it to your logo. Shit, we got way too serious. Yeah, too serious. Maybe we should transition to a different topic, but this is something that came across my desk yesterday. Neil Young, legendary Neil Young. You cannot fuck with his category. Catalog is what I meant. Category. Weird use of the word. But Neil Young wants Spotify to either remove Joe Rogan or remove himself from Spotify. He literally said, you can take it or leave it. Neil Young or Joe Rogan. The choice is yours. Bye. Bye, Neil Young. Bye. Listen, Neil Young has legendary songs. Legendary songs. But Neil Young, to use a word that the kids and millennials and Gen Zers love to say, Neil Young, you're being toxic. You're being toxic. Because here's what's happening. You ever have people who tell you to make a choice? They say, hey, it's either going to be me or them, and you choose. And then the smart decision is always, I'm going to go with the person that's not making me choose. Who's not trying to bully me with this feast or famine idea of just like, hey, me or them, choose now. Like, that's such a weird term to set. And Neil Young is saying, and I didn't give you any information. I apologize. Neil Young is saying, because Joe Rogan has guests on that are spreading, quotations, misinformation about COVID-19. There, now our podcast is going to be flagged because we said it. Misinformation. He wants the platform to either remove Joe Rogan or himself. Take out his whole catalog or take off Joe Rogan's podcasts. Neil Young, did you get $100 million from Spotify? Because you know what I wish? I hope Spotify calls his bluff and just goes, okay, great, sir. Well, here's a breach of our contract. So go ahead and take this fee. This is going to cost you. But listen, no hard feelings, but we're parting ways. It did get me to listen to some Neil Young's songs yesterday. And I go, he is a bad motherfucker. And this is why it's weird. Like, I hate sometimes, especially with music artists, because there's like a mystique when it comes to music artists with myself. Not so much with actors. Actors are like they kind of play the Hollywood game. So their personality, at least on when you see interviews and everything, are always bowing to virtue signal and whatever is hot in Hollywood. But sometimes it ruins songs for me when I realize how some of the beliefs of musicians. I think they're like the last group of people that should have some air of mystique, mystery around who they are as a human, because it makes the songs magical. You kind of get lost in their songs. But it's crazy to protest that someone just having a podcast about ideas, that it's misinformation. What about 99% of the songs, if we take them at face value of these are facts? Every single love song is a story of misinformation, if we're going to play that game. Okay? Anything about love. And I'll love you forever. It's misinformation. Like, what if we listen to Mr. Neil Young here and we only have songs that aren't spreading misinformation? We would only have songs like, and you are the only one for me, as long as someone who's hotter and better and doesn't stress me out as much as you comes along. So you better hope I don't find someone else. You're the most beautiful thing I ever did see, that is reachable for me. That's the kind of songs we're gonna get if we don't spread misinformation through music. And that's just something to consider. There's always a B-side to everything. There's always another take, baby. But listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I apologize. My throat is getting raspy. Got that Omicron coming through, ladies and gentlemen. I had that fucking Delta. Okay, people complain about Omicron. Go get you some of that Delta, baby. You see how that sets you up? I'm just like the old generation who's just like, I had to walk fucking uphill to and from school in the snow. That's how I feel getting Delta. I'm like, I got fucking COVID back when you couldn't taste or eat shit. Shit was wild. Changed my life. Realized how addicted to food I was. All right? It'll fuck you up. Fuck you up. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope if you got one thing out of this, sit down and write down some goals. Okay? Sit down, write down some goals, some ideas that you have that you want to get done. Put the phone in the other room. Write it out. Just fucking brain dump it. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's just take a page, write brain dump, and then I just start fucking abstractly, like a thought balloon, writing out words, ideas, sentences, and putting it out on paper. And then I can start structuring it. Everybody wants to like build the railroad towards whatever they want to do, just one piece at a time. But it's like, now you got to put everything down, and then you can start connecting the dots, If you just keep looking at everything in your brain and what you want to do, if you're anything like me, where it's like you have so many different thoughts, you got to write it all out. Or else you're going to think of one thing and then think of another, and you're going to go, fuck, it's overwhelming. I'm done. But ladies and gentlemen, this episode's gone on for too long, and I just want you guys to know this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And remember, no matter what, I still love you.